Well, hi there, Mama Cow. You think I have something for you? Yeah? So in this episode, I want to discuss something. I'm sure a lot of you folks have heard, practice how you play, right? Well, how do you do that in farming? Can you practice how you play in farming? Is that even relevant at all? Is that just something that I'm making content about that no one's going to watch? Who knows? But here's my view on this. Practice how you play to me means that everything you do should be to the best of your abilities, even if it's just a trial, right? So this trial right here is a great example. I tried it to the best of my abilities. I changed things around, trying to get a different result, different end solution, and I got nowhere, right? So this trial was to see if I could get the cows to eat just this face, and as they ate back, make sure it doesn't tip over on the cows, on the hay, or on the fence line, all of that. But what happened is the cows wouldn't eat over the fence. They only wanted to eat under it. Well, I was doing it to the best of my ability and the best way that I knew how, and tried it for several days and hoped that maybe the cows would get hungry enough, but at some point I had to stop because I saw a body condition leaving my animals. And that's the last thing I want to do going into fall, is make them lose body condition. So I stopped immediately. But what does that mean for things I can't try? Now, if you see in the background here, I have a cornfield. I can try this, but I wanted to get some opinions. So here's the thought. What happens if I graze corn stalk stubble? What if I put my cows out there and graze all the leaves, graze all the stalks, all the leftover cobs? You know, what happens if I graze leftover corn? You know, the regenerative folks say never to do that because you're adding corn into a grass-fed diet, which, okay, fine, maybe. I will also say corn is a grass, so, you know, we could get technical there and say corn is still a grass, but let's say that, you know, let's say I didn't have that cornfield. Who would you ask? Would you ask the grazers? Would you ask the folks that would know what they're doing? Or would you ask folks that maybe don't have as much experience? I mean, you would think you would want to ask the folks with more experience, right? But what if I say this? What if my goal is to graze the entire farm or in the entire neighborhood? You know, this neighbor over here has crop field, crop field, crop field. All around me there's crop field. So should I ask people, hey, how do I talk to a farmer about grazing their cropland? Or should I maybe ask the farmers and say, hey, what would it take for me to graze your cropland? Because I'll say this, some of them might say you couldn't pay me $1 million an acre to get your cows on my land because of compaction. Okay, fine. I learned compaction is that farmer's biggest concern. Well, compaction is a very easy and simple thing to deal with. All you do is make sure it's either really dry, like it is now, really dry. Well, I guess it's not super dry, but it's pretty dry for this time of year. Or you wait till it's frozen. Okay, fine. Farmer, what if I get out there while it's frozen? Well, what about last year? Last year, I only had 1 week of freezing weather. Every other week, the entire winter, you know, the 6 months that we get cold and less sunlight, was warm. This whole thing was a mud pit. I don't know if I have any videos of it from last year, but this whole thing was a mud pit. So what about that? What if I have a bad winter? Well, obviously, I can't stop compaction from happening because I will have mud to deal with, and mud is compaction. Now, what about the folks that tried it, right? So you would think, all right, cool. Well, then ask somebody who's tried it, who also crop farms, and see what their opinion is. Okay, so I did. A lot of folks say it still adds compaction, and they can feel it with their tractors while they're pulling plows through the ground. I said, okay, fair enough. But what about your trial? Did you get the cows off before it got muddy? Did you put the cows on before it was frozen? Like, any number of environmental factors could cause a different result in your study. So the study is then null and void because you don't know if it was cows that compacted your soil or if it was your inability to manage the cows. And now, sure, you may say that sounds inflammatory. What do you mean putting the blame on me? Well, it's true, isn't it? You know, if you're the one that's having issues and you put the cows out there, you know, you're the one that mismanaged the process. That'd be the same thing as me going out there and plowing or cultivating all the cornfield up. Everyone would be like, well, that's why you don't have no corn. You plowed it up. So isn't it the same thing for me being a grazer? So I went and tried to find all of these reasons why I couldn't graze corn stalks or soybean or wheat fields, because I wanted to know what these farmers' concerns were. And I'll tell you this, a lot of folks said, don't worry about it, kid. You're never going to do it. You don't want to do that. It'll never work. But yet when I went and asked the grazers, oh, I do it all the time and my farmer loves it. So clearly somebody's wrong in this situation. It cannot be light and dark at the same time. It cannot be cold and warm at the same time. You cannot have steam and ice at the exact same time, because that water molecule will be either steam or will either be gas, liquid, or solid. That's how that works. You cannot have both. Now, I'm sure when I say that, someone's going to be like, well, this does that. Okay. Thanks for pointing out the one example of how I'm wrong instead of seeing the entire point to the conversation. The entire point to this is practice how you play. If you're not out here trying different things, if you're not out here working your hardest to accomplish your goals, then you're never going to get anywhere. I don't want to take the easy route and ask all the people that do it, how do you do it? I want to ask the people that don't do it, what can I do to get you to do it? You know, that'd be the same thing as going into a car dealership and them saying, what can I do to get you in a car today? It's the same thing. So I'll be asking my neighbors, what can I do to get my cows on your land? And I had one guy say, you need to stop starving your cows and you need to get more land. Well, it surely doesn't look like I'm starving cows because I got leftover grass, and it surely doesn't look like this big fat bull who looks 9 months pregnant is starving. Look at his honking belly. He don't look like he's starving to me. This mama here is not pregnant right now. Well, she might be, but the calf would be, actually no, her calf is too young. She is not pregnant. She is milking. Look at how big that mama is. Not pregnant at all, regardless of how she looks. Her calf is too young for her to be bred again. Doesn't look like they're starving to me. Anyhow, guys, I want to keep this fun and keep this light, but I also want to talk about my experiences in farming, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Talk about my farming experiences, and maybe I can help young guys like me, or young gals like me, to accomplish the same goal, but maybe easier, maybe quicker, or cheaper by learning from my mistakes. And if that offends some of you, I'm sorry, but the whole point of this world is to help each other out, right? If we're not helping each other out, then we're pushing each other down. So I'd rather be helping than pushing. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one.